What's going on YouTube? It's Thomas DeLauer and I'm hopping on here live. It is Friday evening and I figured, hey, everyone is probably wondering what the heck they're going to be able to eat this weekend when it comes to a holiday weekend. So I'm going to wait for a few people to join in and then we will get down to the fun stuff and start talking about what you want to talk about. I know that generally YouTube takes a little bit of time for the momentum to actually build. And as usual, if you're just jumping on this broadcast, make sure you comment where you're watching from. That way I can shout you out, can say hello, give you a personal shout out to where you're at. We've got Evan, what's going on? We've got David, good to see you here. Make sure you're commenting where you're watching from. Basically what I want to talk about today is some little tips and tricks that you can use this weekend, particularly if you're in ketosis. Spokane, Washington in the house. Good to see you. What's going on, Hugh? Good to see you here. And Robert, you say, eat as many jelly beans as possible. Not quite that. What's going on in Connecticut? What's going on in Florida? What's going on, Chris, in Louisville? We've got Trist in Vegas. We've got Melissa in Georgia. What's going on? We've got Carla in Larchmont, New York. We've got Michelle in the house. We've got Nicole in Oakland, California, Sacramento, California, Germany. You guys are awesome. So good to see so many people on this. I know it's a Friday evening and not always the best time of day to do a YouTube video ever because people are out doing their thing. They're busy. So if you guys can, make sure you hit that like button just because that helps the YouTube algorithm so that these videos get out and can help people. Anyway, let me get down to what I want to talk about. I want to talk a little bit about intermittent fasting in conjunction with ketosis. And the reason is because there's some huge benefits. In fact, I just filmed a video today talking about fasting and prolonged fasting versus intermittent fasting and its correlation with ketosis, and it was all kind of fresh in my mind. So I figured it's a perfect time to talk about it because we can apply some fasting principles to really still be able to enjoy our Thanksgiving, our Easter meal without feeling totally guilty. Here's the thing, if you're following a ketosis style program, Easter has a lot of foods that you can eat, at least with the traditional Easter kind of dinners or Easter kind of lunches. You're not having to generally do the, you could still have a lot of flexibility simply because a lot of times people on Easter, they'll have turkey, they'll have some gravy, they'll have things like that. And as long as we can keep the carbs somewhat under control, we're really gonna do okay. But I also wanna make sure that we implement some methods that can help us get not only a way to be able to stay on track through Easter, but actually benefit ourselves and get a little bit more. So what I want you to practice doing is actually using Easter as a day to intermittent fast in conjunction with ketosis. And what that's going to do is when you're in ketosis, your body is already producing beta-hydroxybutyrate. Okay, that's produced by the liver to actually help you out and feel better. And that's kind of why you feel so good when you're in ketosis. That beta-hydroxybutyrate that the liver produces is a ketone body that helps you out significantly. Now, when you're fasting, that same beta-hydroxybutyrate is released. And that beta-hydroxybutyrate, again, is what helps you feel really good. So in essence, you can essentially get a double whammy if you end up having a little bit of intermittent fasting in conjunction with your keto diet. Someone asked if vodka is okay to have during ketosis. You know, if you're going to drink, I do recommend using something like vodka, something that's triple distilled, something that's not going to have the grains, has less of a conversion into what's called acetaldehyde, and that's a lot easier on the body. Hey guys, if you guys are just joining in, make sure you comment where you're watching from. That way I can shout you out. But also, I would love if you guys comment if you're have any questions regarding ketosis, because I also want to make this somewhat of a Q&A as well. And I do want to ask that you make sure you hit that like button so we can get some good feedback going on this. Susie, you say you just completed shopping, you have keto foods, chicken guacamole. There you go, keto cheesecake. Looks like you're going to be rolling. Neil, you asked, so you've been doing intermittent fasting. Oh, awesome. Okay. We've got Pismo Beach in the house. We've got Neil from Neil Bopana. That's awesome. We've got Sam in the house. What's going on? It's nice. I know with the YouTube videos, it ends up taking a little bit of time for some momentum to build because not everyone gets the notifications. I wanted to take a little bit of time to talk real quick about saturated fats though. Actually, I did a video today talking about saturated fats, specifically when you're in ketosis. And it brought up a good point. In fact, someone on my broadcast the other day asked a question about saturated fats and the level of saturated fats when you're in ketosis. Because a lot of times people end up saying that saturated fats are more important when you're in ketosis. Well, let me back up and talk about saturated fats for just a second. Saturated fats have gotten a bad rap. And it came from a guy by the name of Ansel Keys way back in the 1950s. And what Ansel was all about was he took some studies and he started trying to basically formulate and suggested through a few studies that high levels of saturated fats are linked to heart disease. And what we ended up finding is that he left out a significant part of the studies. You see, he researched 22 countries, looked at their saturated fat levels, and said that there was a correlation between high levels of saturated fat and heart disease. But what he failed to mention was the fact that he left out 16 of those countries when he reached his total lipid hypothesis. When they actually factored in all 22 countries in the study, it was found that those countries that consumed more saturated fat had a lower risk of heart disease. Kind of crazy. So it actually was showing that saturated fats are critical for healthy function. In fact, our brain composed mostly of fat, 60% fat, half of that is saturated fat, but also our nerves, that myelin sheath, everything like that, saturated fat. The cell membrane structure, saturated fat. But when we're in ketosis, do we need more saturated fat? A lot of people will come to me and say, hey, Thomas, we need to eat more cheese, we need to eat more fatty cuts of meat because we're in ketosis. Well, the thing is, yes, Robert, you say Ansel Keys was also being paid cash money by the sugar industry. Yes, it is true. That came out last year. Thank you for bringing that up, Robert. You rock, man. So anyway, back to my point here is when we're in ketosis, I think what's happening is we're consuming so many more ways of fats that we ultimately end up feeling like we're getting the benefit from saturated fats, but in reality, in respect to how much we're consuming overall, we're just consuming more saturated fats than we normally would. It's not because we predominantly are running on them. Sorry, I'm gonna turn the volume down. I had some music going at my office here. It was getting a little loud. And so that's kind of what it comes down to. So to answer the question about ketosis and having saturated fats when you're in ketosis, I don't necessarily think that you need to have extra saturated fats, but I think that 50% of your fats should probably come from saturated fats. It would just make sense, being that that is what comprises a lot of our cells and the myelin sheath and a lot of our brain. Hey, for those of you that are just joining in, yeah, isn't that funny? See, there are my horns. Someone said I was standing in front of the steer horns. No, this is just my office. I have an office here, and I have sort of steer horns on my wall. I lived in Texas for a while, so I make that happen. Guys, if you're just joining in, make sure you comment where you're watching from so I can shout you out. Dennis, you've asked it a couple times. Is Fridays with bacon a good start for the day? Always try to make sure that it's at least a nitrate free bacon, if I could talk. Basically what that's going to do is at least not have the preservatives, not have the crud in it that's going to set you back. But bacon and eggs, generally speaking, is a great keto breakfast. I mean, they have been told that essentially eating eggs provides you with just about every mineral, every vitamin that you could use throughout life. So you can actually survive on them in a lot of ways. I'll move over here since everyone's making fun of me because of the steer horns. And if you guys have questions regarding ketosis, make sure you comment in here. I'm happy to help you guys out. So essentially what the tips I want you to follow when you end up going into this weekend is to try fasting on Easter Day. Or if you don't want to fast during the day on Easter, try fasting from about 10 a.m. on Saturday until you would actually eat that Easter lunch. You started drinking free-range milk, hormone-free with colostrum. That's awesome. Good to hear that. Corinne, you say you're new to high-fat and high-protein eating. Where do you start? The best place to start is essentially really looking at going as high fat as you possibly can while keeping your ratio usually about 80% fat, 20% protein for the first week, very minimal carb. Then once you're rolling and you're feeling a little bit better, then you can start playing with the ratios a little bit more. Will BCAAs and whey protein isolate affect your state of ketosis? Jury is still out on that. Whey protein isolate probably won't, but BCAAs might. Here's why, because BCAAs are so instantized that they actually can spike insulin that can kick you out of ketosis, whereas whey protein is a little bit slower, but what it can essentially do is allow your body to get rid of any glucose that's available and shuttle it into the muscle. You have to remember that ketosis, we're trying to burn up liver glycogen. We actually want our muscle glycogen to still somewhat remain, especially if we're weight training, because when we're weight training, we need that muscle glycogen to actually feel like we're working out and actually feel something. I don't know, you guys can, if you can attest to this, you can comment and say you agree if you felt this, but I know that if I'm in ketosis, that sometimes what ends up happening is I end up feeling really terrible in the gym, like I just don't have a whole lot of energy. And the reason behind that is simply because your muscle glycogen is so tanked. But then when I have a cheat meal, I feel like garbage for 2 days, but then I feel really good for like, I don't know, the next 2 weeks. Basically because my muscle glycogen is full, but I've still gotten myself back into ketosis because my muscle glycogen is still full, but my liver glycogen is depleted. So, and I wanted to tell you guys, I think I mentioned in my last live broadcast, so I have a photo shoot in Bermuda. Let me close my blinds really quick, guys. Hang on. Just getting a little dark in here, or a little light. The lighting's getting weird. So I've got a photo shoot in Bermuda that I have to go to in a few weeks. And I told you guys on the other live broadcast a couple days ago that because I'm doing that, I have to be back on carbs because I need to actually volumize a little bit more and I need to be able to kind of go down that road. I will tell you, I'm 4 days into having carbs again and very low calorie with carbs. And I will tell you, I miss ketosis so much. My brain function is not nearly as good. You're gonna see my videos probably aren't nearly as good because my brain isn't working. And it's definitely it's not fun. I went for a run this morning and I found that my endurance was just way, way down. I felt great for the first mile, 2 miles, and then after that it was just tanking. And I think a lot of it has something to do with the fact that when you're in ketosis, you end up, you're using beta oxidation. So when you're in beta oxidation, your body's used to utilizing fats for fuel, which means you're really, really good at performing in endurance ways. Athena, I want to come back to your Eric Berg question because I feel like that was a good one. I'll bring it up in a second. So I went back onto carbs and now I'm feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm just bonking. And the run was just terrible. I miss ketosis. The one thing I will say is definitely, he's a carb eater, I'm out of here. Sorry, Nick, sorry to break it to you. So now it's just like, aside from the muscle cells being volumized more, it just does not feel that good. It definitely, I miss it. And I need to get some blood work done now that I've already done some blood work when I was in ketosis. I need to get some blood work done now that I'm out of ketosis and see how things are affected. I can almost guarantee that cortisol levels probably went down. Cortisol levels usually tend to be a little bit higher when you're in ketosis simply because insulin blunts cortisol. And that's kind of important, so what they'll always say is like post-workout, you usually want to have carbs because it's going to blunt cortisol, and that can help you out in a lot of ways. So I'm sure my cortisol levels are a little lower. I'm a little less stressed, but I don't know. I just miss ketosis. Now, there are some questions that had come in surrounding intermittent fasting, so I do want to tackle those really quick. Someone asked if the 16-8 window is what I would recommend in that case. When you're talking about like ketosis or you're talking about going into this Easter weekend where you may want to enjoy some food, you may want to enjoy some stuff, 16-8 would be good. I'm more of a fan of going like 18-6 or honestly even 24, simply because having those smaller windows, I think you're going to get a little bit more out of it. Longer windows, you're still kind of triggering that same insulin response and it's just not that powerful. The longer the fast, the better too. The longer that you fast, the more neuroprotection you get, the more cell protection you get. Everything ends up feeling a lot better the longer that you go. Funny, on the video that I was recording today, was talking about fasting, and it makes sense. You'd have a lot of mental focus when you're fasting because you're focused on getting food. Okay, like if you think back about what it would be like when we're hungry, it would make sense we'd have more energy when we're hungry because we're mentally focused on getting our food. We're not distracted. We're not tolerating stress. We are tolerating stress. We're not tolerating other things around us. We're just on a mission. And it makes sense. So you usually have a lot of energy. So the benefits of fasting start coming after 16 hours. So that's why I'm not a huge fan of the 16-8. I like going more like 20 or 4. But here's the thing. When you break your fast, especially if you're in ketosis, when you break your fast this Easter, make sure that the first meal that you have when you break your fast is going to be very, very lean, okay? So very low fat, still moderate protein, super lean. You can even have a couple carbs when you break your fast if you wanted to. The reason that I say this is because protein is still insulinogenic. Protein is still going to spike your insulin a little bit, especially if you have been fasting for a period of time. Hey guys, if you can, please, I know we've got a lot of people watching this. Can everyone that's watching please just hit that thumbs up button? Please. It helps the algorithm, it helps this video do well, and it helps my YouTube channel a lot. So I just appreciate it if you can just hit that thumbs up button. And essentially, when you break that fast, you guys are awesome. Everyone's hitting it. Thank you guys so much. Basically, what it ends up doing is it allows the body to actually utilize the protein really quick without being slowed down by the fat. Because you're still spiking your insulin, which means the fat can still go into storage. We don't want that, okay? We want the insulin to do its job and shuttle the protein in. So breaking your fast, protein, keep the fats low, and then like 15, 20 minutes later, then you can add the fats. So it would look something like this. Let's say you're planning on having Easter lunch with your family on Sunday afternoon, okay? So that would mean that starting maybe at like noon, 10 a.m., noon on Saturday, you would start your fast. You'd start loading up on water, loading up on green tea, and going to town on that, okay? Go throughout the rest of the day, don't eat anything, maybe get a little workout in Easter morning if you can. If not, maybe just a little bit of fasted cardio, something like that, okay? Then you're gonna roll on in and you're going to break your fast about 15 to 30 minutes before you have your family meal. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna eat a piece of maybe some chicken, maybe you're gonna have a little protein shake, just lean protein, no more than like 4 to 5 grams of fat, keeping it super simple. And what that's gonna do, that's gonna spike your insulin just a tiny bit from the protein, and it's gonna turn off that insulin signaling for a little bit, okay? That way, when you go to your next meal and you have some turkey, maybe you have some bacon, maybe you have some fat, maybe you have some oil, it's not going to affect you nearly as bad, because you are super, super sensitive when you come off of a fast, whether it's a 12-hour fast, 24-hour fast, or a 120-hour fast. That way, you are able to get the most out of it and be able to feel really, really good coming out of it. And you might just come out of this holiday weekend feeling a lot healthier and actually getting a little bit leaner in the process. Guys, if you guys are getting something out of this, I'd love if you can give it a share. If you can go ahead and share it with people. I'm gonna actually go walk outside for a minute. So just show you a little bit of leaving my office here really quick. Friday afternoon. I'm gonna walk and talk here for a second. People are gonna think that I'm crazy. And you guys, if you want, go ahead and post up any questions that you might have in the meantime surrounding ketosis. Hopefully the connection ends up, might have lost connection. All right, I think I've got to go back. So looks like that's not happening. It doesn't want to drop out of Wi-Fi and go to LTE, so evidently I have to go back to my office. Sorry, anyone that posted questions, you guys are gonna have to post them again because it ended up, there we go, cool, perfect. Athena's still here, perfect. Everything's still working. Hopefully the connection didn't drop. Yeah, it gave me an error though, Chris. It said that I was gonna lose connection. So I guess what happens is since I was on Wi-Fi and then I ended up walking out, it ended up breaking me off. So advice for keto noobs. I actually would recommend, Evan, if you haven't already, just checking out the keto playlist that I have here on YouTube, because I think that one might give you the best kind of basics. I have one video that breaks down really well. It's the one that says low carb versus ketosis, or ketosis versus low carb. What's the difference? I think it's really important that people know. Susie, thank you so much for sharing, especially sharing over to Facebook. I don't know if a lot of you guys follow me on Facebook too, but I've got a big following there. So I usually do a lot of my live feeds there. But if you guys like these live feeds, let me know and I'll keep doing them. How many calories should you eat in one sitting? That's a good question. That all depends on the person. I'm usually a fan of having having longer periods between meals. So you're not necessarily, what I do is I actually kind of what I call keto surging. So what I'll do is I actually will have a series of smaller meals in the morning, and then I'll have a period of time throughout the day where I fast for about 4 to 6 hours, or sometimes even longer. And then I'll go ahead and add 2 or 3 small meals in before I go to bed then. So Susie, I'm glad you like the live feeds. If you guys like the live feeds, I just have to make sure that I'm getting a lot of engagement on these. Right now, we've only got 100 people on this video, whereas like Facebook, I'll usually have 1,000 or so. I want to try to get this there. That's why I'm trying to drag this one out, make it a little bit longer so that people can see it. James say, with 20-hour fast and eating before bed, can we afford a few extra carbs and get back into ketosis by morning? I don't know if you can afford a few extra carbs, but what you can afford is to be able to consolidate the carbs. It's going to feel like more. Athena, can you do me a favor, please? And please repeat the Eric Berg question. That was a good question, but my mind is going a million miles an hour. So please type it again. I'm really sorry to make you do that. In your opinion, what's an optimal body fat for an optimal bodybuilder? I mean, I guess by judging standards, 0%. Advice for veggies and salads. I did this on the other broadcast the other day, but it's basically asparagus, cucumber. Cucumber's good too. Asparagus, cabbage, bok choy. Those are the best. Athena, I'm still waiting for your question. Marcus, ketosis diet for 2 weeks and having a problem with stomach and diarrhea. Yeah, you know what? Honestly, kind of common for people. You may want to try getting some cabbage in, try getting some bok choy, and try getting that asparagus in, because those prebiotic fibers are going to help you out a lot. That's really, really critical. And you guys can check out the live feed that I did on, I think it was Wednesday. You guys might get that. Nick DeSalle, 4,000 calories a day. That's pretty significant. You guys wouldn't believe what I eat. I really don't eat nearly as much as people would think that I do. I'm still waiting for that comment to come back in from Athena that was typing it out. Kind of doing a little ketosis Q&A here. For those of you that just joined in, if you can, hit that thumbs up button just because it helps get this video up to the top. I might try walking, see if I can switch this off of Wi-Fi. Someone says, can I get back into ketosis without dairy? Totally. Okay, Eric Berg, he spoke about not having to eat pre and post workout meals because the workout uses food from yesterday's energy. Good question. Depends what time of day you work out. If you work out in the morning, you definitely can train fasted. As a matter of fact, I train fasted. Okay, so what I'll do is I will allocate most of my carbs to the evening. Okay, meaning if I have almonds, if anything like that, I usually put them in the evening time. That way I've got a little bit of glycogen, just enough. The next morning I get up and I train fasted. No coconut oil, nothing. I will have a little bit of black coffee. So then I work out and I'm all good to go. And yeah, I don't need that pre-workout food simply because I have energy from the day before. And you also don't typically need post-workout because you're not supplying yourself with the food that way. Your body is running on ketones, which it's creating from food, and it's creating from your own tissue. So it's not as imperative to get that food in you as it normally is. That's what we really want to make sure we're aware of. However, if you're training in the afternoon, you do need to probably eat some stuff. You don't want to be fasting, but pre-workout and post-workout meals, in my personal opinion, are somewhat overrated. Hey, since we have quite a few people on this, make sure you hit that like button. But since everyone's here, guys, make sure you turn on notifications so that you can see when I do these broadcasts. I think people are really, really liking them. And pre-workout drinks have highly branched cyclic dextrins. Supposedly they don't spike insulin. Yeah, jury's still out on that. Okay, a lot of those things on the dextrin and stuff like that, they still do supposedly spike insulin, so we'll have to see. But anyway, like I was saying, make sure you turn on notifications, because when I do these live feeds, the more people that I can get on these broadcasts, obviously the better. And I would love to help you guys as much as I can. I'm finding that doing the YouTube lives are a lot of fun. I always do the Facebook lives, but this is a whole different world. Hang on, I'm gonna see what this is here. Press some buttons. There we go. Okay, is there anything dangerous about ketosis? It all depends on the person. Oh, guys, I think it might have cut me off for a second. I'm sorry about that. I guess a phone call came in and it ended up cutting me off. So guys, are we still good? Did everything stay the same, or did it end up cutting off the call? Okay, I think we're good. Keto for competitive sports like mountain biking. Yeah, definitely good. Did it, Robert, did it start a new video or did it just cut out? Because okay, cool, perfect. I guess that's what happens when your phone rings. You know, it's actually funny. I don't know if you guys watch any of my videos ever on that I used to do for like Six Pack Shortcuts and stuff like that. That big channel, that was Kate that works over at Six Pack Shortcuts. They're trying to get me to do some more videos for them, which I enjoy doing videos for them, but I always like to make sure that I'm backing my stuff with science and making sure that it's all good to go there. Neil, you say you won't have the post-workout good. Evan Purdy said that's how he found me. Awesome. Yeah, you know what? Six Pack's a good channel. I like bringing some science there. So hopefully be doing some more videos on that channel and get some good science out there. You guys are awesome. Thank you for bringing up, letting me know. So you said you've been in ketosis for 3 months. You're not seeing your body changing. You may want to try backing off the protein a little bit, because you know what ends up happening is a lot of times people have too much protein and it starts causing that gluconeogenesis. And that gluconeogenesis kicks you out of ketosis and actually makes you feel bloated. You don't feel as good. You don't get as many results. It can be a pretty big issue. Okay, I was able to switch it off of Wi-Fi. So I'm going to walk outside because it's a really nice day. And you guys you have to let me know if it ends up cutting out, okay? So if it starts cutting out, make sure you comment and I will turn back around. Hang on 1 second. Give you guys a little taste of my life here. Do extended fast and the body will comply. So not sure what you mean by that, Chris. Essentially, you know, extended fasting is really, really good for like resetting the immune system. That's kind of what I'm big on. When you reset the immune system, you're creating new white blood cells. Okay, guys, we good? Okay, I had to go off of. I think we're good. All right, guys, are we working now? No. He has a bigger mustache. Is it working? Okay, hopefully it's coming back, guys. Uh-oh. Are we in business? Yeah, now I'm getting a bad connection. Oh no, all right. I'm coming back. Okay. All right, you guys, I guess I'm out in my parking lot now. I just wanted to be, if the connection is good, let me know. If it's bad, I'll try to go back into where I have Wi-Fi, but I just wanted to get outside. It's really, really hard to be in my office and look outside and see all this like nice weather and everything like that while I'm just stuck inside. So I'm gonna walk around a little bit. Hopefully everything stays good. That's my trash can back there. That's where I throw out all my stuff. Anyway, guys, you can keep it coming with the ketosis questions, and I'm gonna rock and roll and see if I can help you out there. And if you guys can, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Make sure we keep that going. Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you for keeping me posted, letting me know. I know this is kind of herky-jerky just because I'm doing what I can to answer questions as I'm walking, and it's giving me all kinds of error message and everything like that. Extended fasts will break plateaus. Yeah, they definitely can. That's kind of one of the big benefits of them, because you're resetting your immune system and it's allowing your body to break some things down. It's allowing your body to utilize things different. Some people are saying connection is still bad, but in terms of the microbiome, is a keto diet a good fix for your microbiome? It depends on the person, you see, because a lot of times the gut microbiome doesn't respond well to fats, but with different people it does. And it all depends when you end up starting ketosis. For example, it's just the lighting. I am exhausted. It's been a long week. But what happens is if your gut flora is already skewed and already out of whack when you start ketosis, it makes it a lot more difficult to get your gut biome in check. But if your gut biome is already in check when you start ketosis, then it can exacerbate the positive effects of that and everything ends up working better. I lost a lot of viewers because I think the connection got bad. I went down from like 120 down to like 64. So I think I'm gonna end up having to wrap this up, but I'm gonna definitely do some more lives. If there's any days that work really well for you guys, I can, would love to hear them, love to find out. So in the meantime, well, it looks like we're back. I'm sorry, guys, it's making it really, really tough. I just don't know if you guys are seeing this. All right, I guess you guys can hear me. I guess it's working. Anyway, let's try to get a little bit more engagement going up. That way we can, good idea, by the way, to do a special guest interview with Dr. Rhonda Patrick. That would be really, really good. All right, looks like we're back in business. Okay, well, at least gives me time to wrap it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up, guys. If there's any ideas that you have on videos, just please make sure you comment them. Make sure you put them in the comment section below. That way I can see them, and I'll do some videos next week. I've got so much knowledge in the world of ketosis, in the world of fasting, but I also like doing videos just in different topics in general surrounding what you can do to sort of biohack yourself. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I'm gonna go home, spend a little bit of time with my wife, and I will post up a bonus video tomorrow on Saturday, so make sure you check it out. All right, you guys are awesome. See you soon.